Georgia fans, breathe out. The number 4 Bulldogs just survived a brutal, ugly, old-school fight with number 19 Georgia Tech, winning 16-9 in Atlanta. It wasn't pretty, it wasn't a blowout, but it might be exactly the kind of win that defines a playoff team. Let's break down how Georgia kept its playoff dream alive and extended its rivalry dominance in clean, old-fashioned hate. Game story. Setting the stage. This wasn't just any rivalry game. You've got Georgia at 10-1 coming in, sitting at number 4, trying to lock up an 11-1 finish and basically punch their ticket to the college football playoff. On the other side, Georgia Tech at 9-2, ranked 19th, playing its best football in years and desperate to finally break a losing streak that goes all the way back to 2016 against the Dogs. Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta is rocking. It's technically a Georgia Tech home game, but let's be honest, there's a lot of red in those seats. From kickoff, you can feel the tension, rivalry pride, CFP stakes, and a Tech team that believes it can shock the world. But from the very first quarter, this game takes on a very particular identity: defense, field position, and running the ball. First half. Georgia Tech actually throws the first punch. Georgia quarterback Gunnar Stockton, who's been really solid most of the year, makes a rare mistake. On 3rd and long near midfield, he forces a throw over the middle and hits Georgia Tech linebacker Tahai Butler right in the chest. Interception. Tech sets up at the Georgia 37 with a huge chance to capitalize. The Yellow Jackets don't cash in for a touchdown, but they do get points. Aiden Burr knocks through a 30-yard field goal, and just like that, Tech leads 3-0 late in the first. The quarter ends with Georgia still trailing, their passing game out of rhythm, and their usually explosive offense looking flat. But here's where you start to see Georgia's identity for the night. They lean on the run. On their next big drive, the Bulldogs put together a 13-play, 71-yard march, almost all powered on the ground. Nate Frazier is slashing through the Tech defense, the O-line is winning at the line of scrimmage, and Georgia just keeps grinding forward. They get stopped just short of the end zone, but Peyton Woodering is automatic from short range. He hits from 22 yards and ties it at 3-3 early in the second. Then comes the first real Georgia moment on offense. A bad punt from Tech sets the Dogs up near midfield. Short field, great opportunity. Gunnar Stockton, who had the early pick, settles down and leads another 9-play drive. On 3rd and 5 in the red zone, he finds Zachariah Branch. Branch snags it, stops on a dime, and shakes his defender with a filthy juke to get into the end zone. Touchdown, Georgia. Now it's 10-3, and suddenly it feels like the Bulldogs are starting to take control. Before the half ends, Georgia adds another long drive, 55 yards in 9 plays, once again stalling in the red zone but coming away with points. Woodering drills a 30-yarder, and Georgia walks into the locker room with a 13-3 lead. The stats at halftime? Totally lopsided. Georgia dominating the ground game. Frazier already flirting with 100 yards rushing. Georgia Tech barely over 70 total yards. But there's also this uneasy feeling. For as much as Georgia's controlling the flow, they've left points on the field. Red zone issues, a pick, and only a 10-point lead in a rivalry game? That's dangerous. Second half, defense and clutch moments. Coming out of halftime, you're expecting Georgia to finally blow it open, but that never really happens. Instead, this turns into a classic bend but don't break defensive clinic. Georgia Tech opens the second half with some life, moving the ball into Bulldog territory. Haynes King decides to take a shot downfield, and that's when Ellis Robinson IV makes one of the game's plays. He climbs the ladder, high points the ball, and comes down with a beautiful interception. Georgia takes over at its own 4-yard line. That pick not only stops a scoring threat, it reinforces the theme of the night. Georgia's defense is going to win this game. But Georgia Tech doesn't go away. Later in the third quarter, they turn solid field position into another Aiden Burr field goal, this one from 44 yards, cutting the lead to 13-6. Now, it's officially a one-score game. Georgia's offense still doesn't have the passing rhythm. Stockton finishes the night with just 70 passing yards, a season low. That puts more and more pressure on the run game and the defense. Early in the fourth, Georgia answers exactly how a veteran team should. They put together another clock-chewing drive and stall out at the Tech 33. But again, Peyton Woodering steps up. This time, it's a 50-yard bomb, and he nails it. Georgia goes back up to by 10, 16-6, with just over 14 minutes left. But Tech refuses to die. Haynes King leads a 7-play, 64-yard drive, taking what the defense gives him and getting them back into scoring range. Burke comes on for his third field goal of the game, hits from 41, and once again, it's a one-score game. 16-9 with just 3:30 left on the clock. Now it's all about situational football. Georgia's offense can't land the knockout punch and has to punt. The defense gives up some yardage, and suddenly, with only seconds left, Georgia Tech has the ball near midfield and a chance to tie this thing with one miracle play. Final snap. Haynes King drops back and launches a Hail Mary towards the end zone. For a moment, every Georgia fan's heart stops. But in the massive bodies and flailing arms, KJ Bolden and tight end Jaden Riddell, who's in on defense for this situation, go up strong and bat the ball safely to the ground. No crazy upset, no heartbreak. The Bulldogs survive 16-9. What this win means. On paper, this might look like an underwhelming performance for a top 4 team. Only 260 total yards of offense, just 3.9 yards per play. Passing game held to 70 yards. But if you look a little deeper, this game tells you a lot about Georgia's toughness and playoff readiness. First, the run game. The Bulldogs rack up 190 rushing yards, with Nate Frazier going for 108 by himself. In a game where the passing attack never really clicked, Georgia's offensive line and backs imposed their will just enough to control the tempo, win time of possession, and keep Tech's offense on the sideline. Second, the defense. They hold a ranked Georgia Tech team to 9 total points, step up with huge plays like Ellis Robinson's interception, and slam the door on that last Hail Mary. They lived on the field in high-leverage moments and never broke. Third, the bigger picture. Georgia moves to 11-1, wins its 8th straight in this rivalry, and likely locks in a playoff spot. SEC championship hopes depend on what happens with teams like Texas A&M and Alabama, but even if things get complicated there, this version of Georgia looks like a team nobody wants to see in a bracket. And don't forget, the last 3 wins over Georgia Tech have all come by 1 score. This rivalry is getting tougher, but Georgia still finds a way year after year. That matters. So, I want to hear from you. Was this game more encouraging because Georgia proved it can win ugly, or worrying because the offense stalled so often and relied so much on the run and the defense? And if you're a Georgia fan, where do you honestly see this team going? First round bye in the playoff, or do they still have something to prove? Drop your thoughts, hot takes, and playoff predictions in the comments. I love reading what you all think about these games. Subscription reminder. As a single mom, your support means everything to me. So if you enjoyed this breakdown, please like the video, subscribe to the channel.